My blog is Consciousness and the Connections in Our Storytelling. We are natural storytellers. As relation-based creatures, our stories define us and give us placement to our surroundings. This is very important to the self. Whether in our physical or non-physical realms, self needs to know how to relate. Self seeks place. Writing started around 5,000 years ago. When we did not yet write, we verbally communicated in sounds and eventually language. Our ancestors drew to express what they were noticing in their environments, be it sun, horse, family, and the squiggles of water, and even signed their works as a handprint. Everything you know today about yourself and you don't know about yourself is story that has become myth. It is a projection subject to interpretation, along with the many years that man has been present. Our DNA tells us stories of connection that we most often have no knowledge or proof of. We are developing our technology to help us explore our past and ways for us to know ourselves in terms of that past. We can also know ourselves in terms of the past, present, future by accessing our essence within each of us, to know ourselves as soul and consciousness, free of the dictates of our assumptions and stories and myths and rumors of self and our appearances. Man started out relatively not too long ago in the big scheme of things. We can now have knowledge of the fact that what is walking around today in its suits and ties and colorations of skin tone is a culmination of a Homo sapien African woman and her daughters eons ago mixing with other humanoids. That progression is fascinating to many, and how we have all become what we see in the mirror each day and over time in our diversity. What shapes us are our stories in being and form. Most often we each look like we feel, how we think, and how we interpret our spirit as human. Our souls embrace the experience where the self may question it, and it is the one feeling all of it. Consciousness and soul are neutral to what those experiences are. We create what life is as an expansion of being. We each are adding into what is present today in our stories of culture and personality within this planet's grace. We are self-creating, self-defining presences of a dynamic in being. We form actively, knowingly, with intention as soul, and most of the time unknowingly from our habituated states of awareness as self. We fulfill our destinies as we decide them. All of this speaks to how we view life and our engagement with it. There is no bias in life, as it is an evolving dynamic. Life continues to develop in the human as embryo into fetus only when another chemical process engages and expands the form, bringing it into life as human. The same goes for a seed into flora, a roe as a developing fish. At any time, the form can stop developing and the form dies. Only 20% of all conceived human life bursts into a hopefully bouncing baby. Life stops or can continue with new variations present from the norm. Free of our emotions, we can appreciate life as nothing more than life, fulfilling the range of experience unique to the design inherent in that form. And souls are dancing. These days, I sense that most of what we would call our lives is about our relation to what is in our essence already, as compassion, love, selflessness, and unknowingness. Our stories are filled with this relation to our core. Unknowingness is another name for potential. Nothing is yet known or identified or solidified into something as energy. It is the dark matter in the state of consciousness at play. It is always present in consciousness, yet we may not recognize it as it is unknown. It is the fourth element that showed up in my conversation with Harvey. Many of us don't like unknowingness, but it is what is beyond our limits and where we dance lightly. It is essential to our evolving stories.